Good evening and welcome to On Point Opinions. I'm Bobby Kinzer,
And I'm Juan Holcomb.
and we are the OPO show, On Point Opinions, where we discuss the major topics of today, current and past.
Absolutely.
We like to cover it all. We're trying to put knowledge in people's, and we're trying to get rid of and straighten up all the fake news that is out there. We're trying to address issues that people don't usually really talk about, or we want to bring clarity. And once again, it is just our opinion. So I hope you do understand that and don't try to hold it against us. But Juan, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. But as you say, Special K, it is our opinion, but we try to come up with opinions with facts.
There you go.
And that's what helps us cut through it all. But I'm doing well. It's been a good day. But there's a lot of challenging things out here. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, I'm kind of caught in between, Bob. I have that serious side. I'm a little on the edge, a little angry at things, but at the same time, I have a joy that I can do the show and that I'm here with you and with anybody tuning in with our virtual audience. How about you, Bob? How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing fantastic because I ain't paying attention to none of that what do you call it, hyperbole, or whatever they call it.
Hyperbolic.
Hyperbolic. Thank you very much, because it's all a bunch of noise to me. Let me tell you, it is so chaotic right now in this country and in the world. Yes, somebody once told me this when I was working at the FDIC. I said, man, things are getting worse, man. They worser. The worstest times. He said, Bob, ain't no such thing. Worse is worse. You can add all the daggone suffixes on the end. Worse is worse. This ain't nothing new. This is actually even more worse back in the day. Read the Old Testament. Man, shoot, God was blowing people off the ground immediately when they messed up. So we getting off actually pretty good, Juan, or not. But just want to remind everybody to please go out there and going on
like
Facebook Live and click on the thumbs up button and also click on the heart button, and please put comments, because that's the way we get more traction, and the algorithms work with Facebook where you reach more people. They'll broaden your audience, access to your audience. So, hit that daggone like button and heart button as much as you can. And as me and Juan always talk about, if you have an opinion, put it in the box. It ain't just about our opinion, put it in the box. And we are definitely, we're open to that. It's not our opinions. And if you got a topic that you want to talk about, or you have a comment, or you have something you want to ask us, please put it in the comment box. So thank you all for checking us out. This is great. And so, Juan, what are we going to start with today?
Well, we thought, in keeping with the times we're in, and this month, we're going to kick it off with what's going to happen in the midterms. That's the hot topic coming up for those of you who are maybe out on another planet. The midterms will be here in a number of months, and who do you think has the advantage right now, GOP or the Dems? And so we'll want to kick it off there. Where are we, Bob? Where do you think we are with the midterms looming?
Well, Juan, this is a pretty interesting question, because a lot of people are saying that the Republicans are poised to take the House and the Senate, possibly, but definitely the House. And I tend to differ with that, but there's signals with these primaries that are going on, and they still doing voter suppression and pulling all their tricks, but it make you really wonder where we're going. Juan, there's a fashion going where they're saying Black Democrats are sort of getting fed up with Democrats, and some of them are even crossing over to the Republican Party.
Oh.
And you know, that's what may be happening in these midterm elections. For instance, let me give you some statistics, Juan.
Uh-oh.
There are 30 million voting age African Americans, and 92% of those who voted pulled the lever for Biden in 2020. But only 69% support him today, according to a recent CNN survey. Black voters are concluding that continuing to vote Democrat and expecting improved results is a quintessential definition of insanity. Crimes continue to ravage the Black community in almost all American cities, widely out of proportion to population. African Americans were the victims in 65% of all New York City murders in 2021. And this is according to the New York Police Department data, despite representing just 20% of the city's population. How about this one? To the point with some of these Black Dems are struggling with. Black students, meanwhile, have underperformed their peers for decades in what school Chancellor David Banks called the outrageous failure of public education. The burden of illegal immigration is also unfairly put upon African American communities. I didn't know this one. The pundits say illegals captured at the border are then secretly flown sometimes into New York area by the Biden administration and are not placed in cushy Cobbler Hill or Upper East Side. They're dumped instead on the poor, most minority neighborhoods and schools. So something's going on. A lot of people say, well, why are these Black folks, you know, feeling, because, you know, they're feeling like the Democrats are not doing anything.
Do they offer solutions, Bob, or is it just a blame game? Is it because Dems in office? Do they see something else on the other side? Did something else give them hope that it would be better with a Republican administration in power? You know, what do they look for? So they figure the alternative is better. Do you get that vibe?
Well, nah, this is the vibe I get, Juan. Republicans seem to be more interested in being reelected than dealing with the issues. Because, you know, when they were like, you know, a true party, I just think they're a cult following Trump right now. I don't even think they are a Republican. There's a Republican Party. Because
Yeah,
Republican Party, I used to side with some of the issues. They were about smaller government, lower taxes, foreign policy, trade issues, especially free trade. But now all they're about, it seems about, is just airing grievances and anger. Now, I don't know if you ever checked the host, what's her name? What's that host name for The View? The Black chick, Sunny Hostin, right?
Okay.
She said this one. This is happening because the Republican Party doesn't really have a platform that is in line with American values. Right. When you really look at it, she said, and when you don't have a platform, you do have to resort to fear. This is just a cyclical, and it's out of their playbook. Some of the fear taxes are in line with, check this out, Juan. President Lyndon B. Johnson said years ago, and she quoted him. He said, if you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. He said, hell, give him somebody to look down on and he'll empty his pockets for you. So that is really what is happening. And we saw this happening with the critical race theory, right? You know, but once they were successful with that, what did they do? They went to the next group, which was the LGBTQ plus community. And they tend to target, this is their playbook, marginalized people.
Correct. Yeah, I think Sonny's on to something. And that's a playbook that's not new. That's one thing. And people have to realize that it's not new. And we have to be stronger than that. And I think, but she is right. That has been something they've used forever. Isn't it interesting always, though, that the Dems take over when they have to pick a country up over just coming out of a pandemic. Is that forgotten? We're still in it with potential things coming up. You have to get people back to jobs they had. People are seeing different opportunities in life. I think that we are such a how do I want to say, we're a nation that is forgetful, and we just don't realize that that playbook is out there, and we have to overcome that. I don't see where you when the alternative says they're not going to do anything for you, and one is trying to do things for you. If you look at certain things in the economy or what they're doing, that seems to be where we have our greatest opportunity. So I don't see where turning on that dime is going to the party. And I agree with you. It's not really a party of Tucker Carlson and some of these people. That I don't see where that's going to turn things around for us.
So do you think they're going to take back the House in the midterm?
Well, I think that unless Democrats can really turn out the vote, that it is going to be difficult to hold both, the House and the Senate. I think it's difficult. I'm going to split on it, Bob. I'm going to say that I think they can potentially hold the House and may give up the Senate.
Well, I'm hoping. I don't think they're going to get the Senate. I just have this thing, Juan.
Mm-hmm.
They just have no platform.
Zero.
And I just can't see how they can take it back. I just really, but see, Juan, the problem is other minority voting blocs also appear frustrated with democratic leadership, like in the major American cities, including Hispanic voters and Asian voters.
Mm-hmm.
They have shifted towards the GOP, man. Check this out. The Black population in New York City declined from 2.1 million in 2020 to 1.9 million in 2020, according to the U.S. Census, even as the Black population nationwide surged dramatically from 36 million won to 46 million over that period, over that same period. Crime-ravaged Chicago witnessed an even bigger decline for more than 1 million Black residents in 2020 to less than 800,000. That's 200,000 less Black voters in 2020. Chicago has been ruled solely by a Democratic mayor, since 1931.
Mm-hmm.
So something's going on, Juan. People are fed up.
What's the migration back south, Bob? I think it's the guy, Clarence Blow. What is his first name? But I think it's a great migration back south. Texas showed some of the greatest population surge as they lost districts, and we could talk about that. But down South Texas, South Carolina, those places are realizing, Georgia, are realizing a great influx of Blacks, again, migration, and other immigrants and people of color. So I think that that's one of the reasons why we're seeing some of those larger cities lose some of the Black population. So I think it can fundamentally change the South. That's why I think the South is doing some of the most egregious, and we'll probably talk about this a little bit more in our next segment, but I think that's why they're changing some of their laws and doing some of the most egregious policies out there, because they see that population surge in many cities.
So Juan, they showed statistics today on Chuck Todd's show, Meet the Press, where, oh man, I forgot, Obama got something like, I don't know, 40% of the rule vote, and Biden got like 20%. And
Of the
right
rule,
now,
rule,
of the
rule.
rural area.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the numbers were staggering. 85% of the rural area um, voted Republican. So back to your point, these mothers are moving back, and I'm not talking about just only the blacks, the white folks too. Seem
Yes,
like
yes, yes,
but
yes,
that's something we need to think about. But we need to
yes,
get the people out to vote, Juan, and
yes,
and that's what showed the last election, 2020, that gave me hope. It's
mhm,
not like they wasn't doing voter suppression then,
mhm,
before then, because they always do it. But that what gives me hope when he didn't win, despite all the tricks they tried, steal the election, all kinds of stuff. And you find me some votes in Georgia, and I mean, despite
mhm.
all of that. So that's what kind of gives me hope. But I don't know if I can bank on that.
But Bob, that's part of the big disappointment. I think you put your finger on it. I think that's part of the big disappointment. It looks as if um, Trump, the insurrectionists, it looks as if they're going to get away with what, from a layperson's point of view, looks like many, many criminal
Shoot, they're getting
behavior.
away with murder.
Basically, that's it, right?
They killed two
Yeah,
people.
right, right. And so, uh, if you don't see people being punished for that, if you don't see people being held accountable for that, I think that also dampers enthusiasm. What's happening? What is the piece? I think I was listening, discussing with some friends and family about um, on some of the shows on MSNBC in particular. They were discussing what the strategy was, and I think they had on Jamie Harrison. He's the head of the DNC. He ran for Lindsey Graham's Senate seat, and I think Tiffany Cross had him on, and they told me that he was, he said some good things, but he was not, just wasn't specific. Didn't seem to just have it nailed down. What they needed to do. Boom, 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 and they really hit him hard for it. And I think that I think Roland Martin and some others who kind of were brought back on to do some analysis said that's not going to get it. They wanted specifics. What are you doing? What have we done? What's going to be done? So that's where I think that Democrats lose some of their edge, Bob.
Well, they've always
That,
been terrible with messaging.
but I'm funny about that too, because I have my own eyes too. I can see how crazy some of these jokers are. I don't know how many different ways you can tell somebody that we're going to take something away from you. You can't do this. You can't read that. I'm not sure what message other than, look, we bought jobs back. We got people out of the pandemic. We're going to cut student debt. That's what maybe that's the key.
But that's just one part of it, Juan. There's so much more. But there is the messaging, Juan, because it's even with the Build Back Better plan, which did not get passed. I don't think they clearly articulate what was in the plan. They just kept talking about the dollar amount, and that's the worst thing, because it's just how people are. Juan, the old guy said, you gotta put it where the goats can get it. And I understand what you're saying. What more can they say? But the point that they were riding with the Democrats, saying that they were not actually, really riding on the things that they did. They were talking about, and then they got caught up in this daggone war, and they need to not get caught up in that either, because they need to be talking about what's going on here.
With that feeds into, Bob, sort of what we're going to hit on next is, does this mean we're moving backwards? Is America going backwards? Are we headed in the right direction?
Well, that's what the whole "Make America Great" thing was about. Was trying, and which was taken from Ronald Reagan. That's what that was all about, turning things back. But this is one thing I know. The genie is out the bottle, and you cannot put that mug back in the bottle. So they can stop all that going back. But it is, Juan, that's all they're trying to do. They're talking about we want to make America great when America was great. That's what that whole bull jive
Slogan
statement
came.
is about. You know, that they want to go back to being, you know, where they had all the privileges and we didn't have none, and that ain't going to happen. I mean, I mean, look at Florida and Texas. You know, the whole point of the federal government, Juan, the whole point about the Union versus the Confederate was all about the Union saying, let's do this all together for the benefit of everybody. We've forgotten what that Civil War is about. And the Confederates like, nah, we want to do our own thing. And that's what it seems like they're doing, Juan. They're trying to go back and use state rights. But the reason why they created federal law to supersede the state rights so that they don't be going off being wild hillbillies. But you're right, Juan. That's what they're trying to do.
Yes. And it seems they're making big
but let me tell you a change, though, Juan. Let me tell you a change that I'm seeing. But used to be the corporations used to get on board with that, especially the racism, institutional racism. But now, and this is why they bucking some of them corporations like Disney, you know, and other corporations, because they NFL, right? The NFL backed Black Lives Matter, right? And they were pissed. And it seems like if you don't agree with what they want, that's when they come against you. But it was a day all the corporations, they were in lockstep with them, especially on the institutional racist thing. But now some of them are not trying to go back there, which I think is great. So there's some hope, because, you know, the corporation, they say, are people too, right? That's where the money is. Yeah, that's what Romney said.
But what state law versus federal law, we're not. Florida is a prime example of trying to state law to supersede federal law. DeSantis is really doing some crazy things, but I have to admit, even for him, I thought attacking Disney was, you know, that caught me a little bit off guard. Of all things, they are a huge employer in Florida, the largest, you know, almost 100,000 employees. They have their own town. You know, to say that they're going to pull their tax status, I was a bit surprised about that, and I was wondering, do you think that would backfire on him doing that?
Well, he's trying to. I'm not sure if he's down the back, but they just showed the other day that where he's saying he ain't going to give them any tax, but they're saying that Disney, if he does that, then they were going to bill the state of Florida like $1 billion. Everybody's taxes was going to go. So he never responded to that. So that might stop all that foolishness. Stop the daggone foolishness. You know what I'm saying? But you know,
but that was in the law. There was something written. They said a very obscure provision in the law that a $1 billion note or debt had to be paid before they could do this. So that there was something in there that kind of put the brakes on it a little bit. I'm not sure where they stand now, but you know, he immediately turned around and it created an election integrity police force.
Well, you know, he's just trying to become president. He's
running for president.
He's going to have a problem because Donald Trump still wants to run, and he thinks he's using Donald Trump's playbook, trying to take us back to that 2016 election. He's using that, but this is what
I think he might run into some
This is what they proved to Juan. He ain't no Donald Trump, and that's why they call it little man. The Cuban guy,
Marco Rubio.
They tried to even Judge Bush tried to flip and do on Trump what he was doing, but it backfired on him. They can't do it like Trump, and he is no Trump, and it's going to implode on him.
Or Greg Abbott, why would he call additional inspections and costing the truckers and the supply thing $1 billion in
Right.
food, and it just
Because they're not interested in American values, Juan. Plain and simple.
But that's what our people want to vote for.
No,
That's who they want. That's
yes.
who they want to lead them.
We will see. That's the scary part. We will see, Juan.
We
I
will
don't
see.
know what these crazy. I didn't think they would vote Donald Trump into office.
Now that's true. That's
You
true.
know?
That's very
And
true.
it is more white people in America than blacks and Hispanics and Asians, but it's just that they don't come out and vote.
Well, and I think that might change some things too. But why is it, Bob? And I think you and I were talking about the other night. Why does it seem, even though the Republicans are not the majority of everything, and all the smallest groups tend to have the loudest impact, the loudest voice. You get smacked in the face with what they're saying. It almost it's intimidation.
Well, it's been shown psychologically, Juan. Bad news travel faster than good news.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Democrats struggle with. They trying to tell a good news story, and all they do is just turn around and flip it and talk about, blaming inflation on Biden, blaming the gas prices. That has nothing to do with Biden, right? They try to blame that stuff on him. So I'm like, but that's all they do, man. But
based on polls, though, at least it's working. If you trust the poll.
But the average polls is 1,000 to 1,500 people.
Right.
So how the hell I'm gonna trust some damn poll? 1,500 people, and then it's in Montana. Right. They surveying people.
Right.
Nah.
Right. They never called me, but
I never got called for a poll either. So forget them polls, man.
Right.
You just stop the daggone foolishness, man.
Right.
One, maybe
get out and vote.
Optimistic, but I just believe that, and I'm a strong believer in spiritual God, that God is in control of all these things. And I know that sounds like a cliche, but it seems like every time it backfires on them, because they just really hating on people and spewing and calling out people's names. That can't. I know this is the world, but this is also God's world, Juan. And I just, in my heart, don't think that's going to swing, man. I really don't. But I think the whole game is to fake us out and make us think that Chicken Little, the sky, because their playbook.
Right.
It's all about fear,
yes,
paranoia,
and grievance,
and grievances.
Yeah.
That's actually.
I hope you're right, Bob. I like that.
Yeah, and I forgot the third one, Juan.
What's that?
They use phobias.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
Yeah, and people get spooked, man. But look, Juan, let's go to my next subject. And our next subject, we're going to lighten it up a little bit. But
we're not gloom.
We both are ex-professional basketball players, so we always got to have a sport segment. And this sports segment is going to be, we want to talk a little bit about this HBO Max series called Winning Time, which is about the rise of the Lakers dynasty in the, I guess that's 70s, 80s, and 90s. 80s, yeah.
70s and 80s,
yeah. And
early 80s.
And they coming hard, man, because a lot of people saying, well, they even put up the thing, they said this is, not an actual depiction, but some of it is. So people like, they showing Jerry West, who is the logo. If a lot of y'all don't know, the NBA logo, that's actually Jerry West. Right. And Jerry West have a lot of pull at the Lakers, and he was the general manager, if I'm right.
Yes.
For a while, and had a whole lot to do with Kobe and all that. But
still very much a part of it.
They portray him as a crazy man, very eccentric. And for what I know about him, stories I know that people have dealt with him, he is an eccentric guy, but he's complaining about how they're wrongly depicting him. They got this brother that is depicting Magic. He's doing a great job, by the way. And the interesting thing, Juan, they're making this guy look taller than he is. I think he's maybe like 6'4" or something like this, but they do a camera angle up, but he's got the Magic smile. Right. But they I don't know how the ratings are doing, but I know I've been watching it. And I think it's been a series. I think this is the last series, but you can go back and watch them, you all. But it's so interesting because that whole Laker dynasty, reason why we're talking about it as an issue, actually helped turn the NBA around. Larry Bird, they came on the cusp of a Jordan. No, yeah, right.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, it was them first. They came on first. Dr. J came in and carried them. They don't give Doc no props for that, but he's in it too, by the way, and that's
Yeah.
why he's in it.
Yes.
By the way,
Yes,
'cause
he's in
Doc,
it. He's in it. He's in it.
major, keeper in the NBA. But so yeah, Juan, have you watched it? What do you think about it?
Absolutely. I got into it, and but it did shock me a little bit about the way Jerry West was depicted. So I can understand that, and I thought it was interesting. I read something by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who said
Oh
that,
yeah, he's a little pissed too.
well, he really talked about Jerry West. He said Jerry West was did have some mental issues, mental health issues, but that the way they deal with it in the show was not accurate. I think something to that effect. Jabbar, Jabbar is very tactful with the way
Well, they
he
depict him
expressed.
as a pretty weird dude too in
Right.
the
But I
series.
thought they also got into the fact that Jabbar was very, very much an activist during those times, and
Yes, he was.
but
Remember the
that did, as great as Jabbar was, and for him, many people feel as the GOAT, the true GOAT NBA. And for those non-sports people, Bob, please let them know the GOAT is the greatest of all time. So GOAT, but that he, he never got a coaching job. He's a brilliant man.
no,
He
he had a
never
coaching job. He never got a head coaching job.
never got a head coaching job, but it wasn't long. Never head coaching, right? Never in management. Never in spirit. So I think Jabbar got a little punished still for that. For his time.
So do you remember the great picture in the 70s when Muhammad Ali was going against the draft and they pulled together all those top professional athletes in Cleveland? Kareem, Bill Russell, Jim
Brown,
Bobby Mitchell, a bunch of the Cleveland Brown guys, and who am I leaving out? There's somebody else big in there. But OJ said he didn't go. He said, man, Republicans, he said no, he said he was colorblind. But Juan, that's an interesting.
Sound like Michael Jordan.
I know a lot of people wonder why are we bringing this up, if you're not a sports fan, but it is very imperative that we pay attention to this because the whole Black Lives Matter thing, the NBA and the WNBA got behind it, which was pretty interesting.
Yes, entertainment.
And but yet, like Kareem back in the day, got blowback and still is getting blowback, and how LeBron, which I don't think he gets enough prop on how he actually sort of led the protests in the NBA for the NBA.
Yes.
But the WNBA did even better than the men, I believe, because they went all in. And especially they got that Atlanta owner, to the female, to give her her ownership. And it's a sister now.
She sure did.
That's running. So Juan, quick, if we can pivot, man, that brings me to another.
Before you pivot though, Bob, because I think you make a great point. The show is entertaining. It does give you an insight to kind of that 70s, which is into the early 80s, which is our time, as both Bob and our time.
Because we experienced some of that stuff they're doing, by the way.
Yes. And we were trying to get in there. We were trying to get out there. And Bob was trying to get on the team out there playing in the Los Angeles Summer League, but we'll leave the story right there for the time being. But we bring that up. You make a good point, Bob, because sports and politics and they come together. And right now, during this wartime, there's a big story on whether Russian athletes should be barred. I think Wimbledon's already said they're not letting the Russian athletes.
Right.
I think the French Open is letting the men in tennis. But some of them have a voice that they want to say against what's going on. So sports and business always intersected. What's the first thing that Trump went against? when he got in there was to magnify the kneeling thing with Kaepernick. So there's impact there. You see it in that show. And for those of you who want another side, Magic is streaming. I think that he has a
Yeah, he's on Apple
document,
TV.
an Apple TV on document on him. But so I think they do intersect, but it is entertaining. It has truth in it, but they are I know they're pushing the envelope on some of the things. Some of the guys have said, these things didn't happen, but I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the entertainment side of it.
And I know for a fact, Juan, just me and you living some of that life, some of that stuff is true. Okay, I understand some of it's not, but this brings me to this pivot, Juan. These athletes, especially NBA athletes, blacks, are making some. I mean, 240 million, 250, 300 million contracts, man. But yet you look at the social consciousness that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had, and look what happened to him because he seems to be blackballed. But these guys, there was a book by, I think, what's his name? Roden is his name.
He's a good writer.
Sports Illustrated. He wrote a book, The $40 Million Slave.
Slave, yeah.
He was talking about all these guys make all this money, but they have no power. They make no decisions. For instance, the boy from Chicago, 3-point shooter, Craig Hodges. He protested back then, right? He went to the White House. Reagan was in. He gave Reagan a letter with issues that he needed to address. And they blackballed him because he was also with the Fruits of Islam. And they blackballed Craig Hodges because he spoke out. Because he was trying to get the players, like, I don't remember when if you remember when they had the lockout. Jordan was playing, and Jordan had this little incident with A. Poland, by the way. But that was during the summer. And they said, man, that ain't no dad gonna put no pressure on them. They ain't even on TV. And they talking about they sitting out putting pressure on the NBA. He said, nah, why don't we sit out during the All-Star game? Let's sit out where it matters. But a lot of those guys are making that money, and that's my point, Juan. They're making a lot of money, and these guys like Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons, I feel they do have individual rights, but I mean, are they taking it a little bit too far, man? For granted, what these other guys have paid and played, like at least they play.
Right.
They take the game, serious where they play.
Well, I personally, I think I'm a Kyrie fan in terms of basketball. He's a great athlete, fabulous basketball player. And I do believe, I agree with Barkley. I think Brooklyn won the play-in championship. I thought that was kind of funny what Barkley said, give them the play-in championship. But Kyrie, I thought, was let off the hook. I thought he made an enormous amount of money. He didn't sacrifice for his teammates by getting the vaccination. And they try to make it seem like he missed all these games. He was injured or something. He was sitting at home. He could have taken the vaccine for his family. I mean, only
boy Kevin Durant, who came there for him, he took the daggone shot.
Yeah, Harden. He had Harden there, and look where James Harden is now. They're into the second round of the playoffs. I think and I think you mentioned this, Bob. I think they're going to, when collective bargaining comes up, there's going to be a policy or something written in his name and Ben Simmons' name too, because I don't think Ben Simmons.
Those owners are getting ready to stack it up on them, man, because the brothers, man, they could use it to their benefit. These big salaries and stuff, they got leverage. But now these owners going to, I think I don't know when the next collective bargaining agreements are coming up, but it's going to be coming up in a couple of years, a couple of years. And trust me, these owners has got, ammunition to use against these black guys making all this money. But yeah. So
I'm all for the guys making the money.
Me too. But work for your money. We've always worked for the money.
Right. Yeah, you got
talking all this stuff, and I got my back, and
especially when you have an option. Especially when you have an option.
What do you think about? Yeah, well, Ben Simmons, that's kind of tough.
He needs help.
He needs help.
I don't know. I don't think he really wants to play personally, but
Yeah, I don't think so. I think his head's messed up. Swan, let's switch to
good.
another topic, man, which is I think we need to talk about it. It's this well, Biden just gave 800 million to Ukraine for, weapons,
Yes.
and they actually taking the bill to Congress and asking for $33 billion for the
33. Mm.
I just got a question for you, Warren. They're doing all this, last time I checked, especially Trump, who the national the debt is like $31 trillion.
Mm.
So Warren, I have this question to you. They're giving all this money to help this other country,
Mm.
and we understand what it's about.
Yes. Democracy.
Keeping democracy and fighting authoritarianism and
Mm.
imperialism.
Mm.
But what happened to the Build Back Better plan, man? God dang it. That was like a couple of $1 billion. What the hell? What about that?
Right. They
And
went
that's
off.
Biden is not really, what is Biden really doing? Well, he got the infrastructure bill through, which was great, which once again, Juan, they didn't publicize that enough what they did.
Absolutely.
Because they jumped into the Build Back Better, talking about, here's another trillion, and they come up and they stop talking about the amount. But what about the Build Back? What about us? What is he doing? And that's why some of in the earlier part, Juan, we said some of the Democrats are becoming leery with the leaders, Democratic voters becoming leery with the Democratic leaders, because what are they really doing? Giving Ukraine, which is predominantly white country. Not that had anything to do with it. I don't think that had anything to do with it.
Well, I think we established early on, at least in our discussion, that it's definitely fairly obvious, not even fairly obvious, that being a white European nation, the response is different. And that's why you see a lot of support for what they call the global South, the South American countries and some of these other countries across some parts of Africa. They're not on board with just going against Putin and Russia. And not that they agree with what Russia's doing as much as they don't see the same support for what they're going through. And when they come from war-torn nations or being turned away at the borders or not letting come into there or selling arms to countries that are bombing them. And I think that is causing problems for many countries. So now I don't agree with some of the Republican responses, like that very crazy Rand Paul sound. Hey, if you didn't have the pictures up and you just heard him talk, you would think he was Putin's front man and how he talked. Everybody's there's some cynicism in there, but I do think that America, and I think, Bob, you and I talked about it, their stature around the world is suffering right now. We got democracy is teetering, what we were considered the beacon of, even though it's always shaky. But our status in America is not the same. I think it took a hit during Trump, but you pointed out to me, Bob, that it started taking a hit a while back, and we can't even get infrastructure, all the infrastructure. Our bridges are crumbling. People need things, and so I think this is. I think it's a challenge right now.
So is America still considered the big power, superpower? I mean, if you had a list of 1 to 5, how would you list the superpowers? Let me ask that question right now in the world.
Ooh, wow, Bob, you put on the spot.
Okay, I'll go first. You think about it. I'll go first. Ain't no doubt about it. China's number 1. China got over
Right,
$9-7
right,
trillion
right.
in surplus. They buying up the world. They in Africa, they in South America, Central America. They all over the
Yeah,
world. They building a dynasty. Okay, people are sleeping on them. They haven't had
yes,
wars. I don't know
right,
long. You know why? Because they put money into technologies and building stuff and
yeah,
research and
yeah,
science and you know what I
right,
mean. So
right.
China's number one to me. Number two, as far as
We both
powers,
agree with that. China, yes, they
China's number
the new
one.
global order. Yes, China,
New
new
global
global order.
order. No, number two, I want to put America there, but I can't put nobody really in front of them. But this is who I will, and since it's another Asian country, Japan, the second biggest holder of our bonds, of our debt, is Japan. Besides, they have so much real estate that they bought in America, and we sleep on Japan once
Mhm,
again, Juan,
mhm,
because Japan had a law that they could not build nuclear weapons. So what did they do? They spent all their time building technologies, building research and development, and look where they are ahead when it comes as far as that market. So I put
Hello,
them
we dropped the nuclear bomb on them. We were the first ones to use it.
right,
Right,
and we dropped it on them, but then we
Hiroshima.
told them they can't have a bomb, which
Right,
was good
right.
because they spent all their energy,
Hmm.
not like Russia, because that's Russia's problem. Russia spent all that money on military because they say
Right.
they spent it on arms instead of butter. They
Hmm.
don't even have a loaf of bread on the shelf. But they got all these arms, and that's why they're selling a lot of their arms
Hmm.
out the back door to these little other countries, African countries, supporting them wars because they can't make no other kind. They ain't really making no
Hmm.
money other than the oil. So I would
Hmm.
say America is three. I would put Germany four, and up there probably becomes France. Sometimes I think one of them Saudi Arabia countries because them mugs are so full and flesh with cash. But
Right.
that's my
Yeah,
five
yeah,
one:
because oil. That's
China,
not. That's
Japan, America, Germany, and probably France.
that's not bad. That's not bad. And I see where you're going, especially since Bob, you're a
Well, we
financial
used to be
man
number
too.
one.
Well, I agree that China, because China holds most of our debt and most of the world's debt, but China. But one of the reasons America tends to still be uh, probably the number one superpower is because even though I don't know when the last war we won, but militaristically we hold that edge. But that's what gets us in trouble. They want now war crimes against Russia and things, and they want to turn to the international courts, um, where the Hague and also to the UN. But sadly, America is the one that has weakened those bodies because we were not signatories on things they want to do because Israel might be, they don't want Israel to be um, ridiculed for what they do in the Palestinians. So we're not the signatory. And many people have accused America of uh, war crimes. And so they're not signatories on some of those international courts, although they want Putin to be held on account. So it's very, my new favorite word, tricky for America in that regard. But we still, um, even though Bob, we owe a lot, we still a superpower in terms of um, the
Yeah,
money that's
yeah, but
circulating
we declining though. We going
our
down.
economy.
Every
True, but
every major civilization had a rise and fall.
right,
Rome,
right,
Greece.
right,
Now go down the line.
right.
Jerusalem. Every
Persia,
major city
yeah, yeah.
had a rise and fall. And I just feel it's America's time because we've done some cruddy stuff
Oh,
too.
there's so tough, and there's some, and the decline is coming. Plus, hey, the majority of the world, we don't population wise. China got over 1 billion people. So does India.
So does India.
These
Yeah.
countries, man, that part of the world is 1 billion. Africa as a continent has 1 billion people. So
Right.
yes, uh, I think we're at. I think we're on the crossroads.
So Juan,
So You know, I
Go ahead.
think, yeah. But go on. No,
Well, I like to ask the question because we got, I hope my daughter's still out there watching, Tanisha. We got Deborah Joe
Hi,
Locke
Tanisha.
watching, and we got Michael Wolf, my high school buddy.
Oh,
Um,
great.
we want to know, put in the comment box, you all. What do y'all feel America is still the number one power in the world? We like to hear from you. Put it in the comment box. The people who are listening, put it out there. We like to know what y'all feel. Is America still the number one power in the world?
And
What do
Bob,
y'all-
we're going to Bob and I've been meeting. We're going to get some guests on here. We want some legal guests. For instance, Bob, you mentioned Craig Hodges tonight, one of my neighbors and who's had a radio show things for a long time, Dr. Wilmer Leon, who's also a political scientist, professor. He interviewed Craig Hodges, quite an interview, quite explosive, man, you know, and somebody like him, you know, I think we even talked about maybe a little panel, because we you know, these are not things that we just the two of us, you know, this is something that we bounce off of friends and family, but we do plan to get some guests on here and to help us, because sometimes I'm like, wait, man, how does he get away with this? Or is there a law against it? Is there a policy against this? So we're going to get some folks on, but tell us what you all see. You know, what are you hearing, and what would you like to see somebody brought on to? You know, maybe we need to bring somebody who's a staunch Republican on, Bob.
Yeah, we
Get
bring anybody. I hope we do, because I like that mug up. But this is the thing, you all.
Don't intimidate. Don't scare.
No, scared. No, don't come on here. No, seriously, don't come on here weak with some dumb. Yeah, scare them.
No.
I don't want them on here.
We
I
know.
don't want them on. If you cannot support your premise, you don't need to be on point opinions.
And you know, I got some buddies who are considered left-wing anarchists. So
yes.
I got some folks.
Bring it. Bring it,
who,
because we're dealing with facts. And remember, you all.
I got some brothers who are banned, man. So, you know, they'll go at it. I think
this is just on point opinions.
On point opinions.
We want your opinions. We're not saying no one is more smarter or less smarter than anybody else, but we're open to your opinions, because that's what we want to share. Because nothing is greater than a healthy debate, Juan, and that's the problem. You know, these people are getting into these arguments because, you know, I don't get into really debates really anyway. I'm not trying to win, you know, a conversation. I want to have a conversation where we go back and interchange ideas, so that you might enlighten me and I might enlighten you.
We learn.
So we're not trying to have no debates or nothing like that. We want to have a conversation. And I believe that's the biggest issue these days, Juan, that especially when it comes to racism, one of the biggest solutions to racism is really having a conversation, especially with white people.
Right.
You know, not just with ourselves, but with white people, so that they can understand, because I don't think they fully understand. Okay, Juan, look, we're coming down to 2 on the hour, man, but I want to throw this last one out, Juan.
Yes, sir.
You probably don't know this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But and I don't know if this is affecting Joe Biden or what, but right now there's an issue in the White House with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, right? Kamala Harris she had stated the other day that I got distracted. She commented the other day that when Joe Biden comes into the room, they stand up. But when she comes into a room, they don't. And she says she's taking that as disrespect.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I'm hearing that there's some, you know, conflict there between her and yeah, well, that's always been the issue with the vice president, because they're giving the hard stuff.
Right.
They give the real hard stuff.
Yes.
Man. And
some
they
stuff almost impossible. Right.
And they're not normally respected that way. But how do you feel about that? Where she's like saying, but if you make that an issue, then I'm like, ooh, that is an issue. Then if you worried about whether people stand up and respect you, so that brings me to this one.
Mm-hmm.
The 2024 election. Do you think she's going to run with him, or he may run against him?
No, I can say, because I have been a little wobbly on answering some of your questions today. No, I think she's fully with him. I think that they drop rumor mill things in there. I think that she'll be right there beside him. I think they've tried to weaken Kamala Harris, thinking that she would be the successor to the presidency. So I do think that she'll be right there. And I'm going to do just like you, Bob, and use your positive. And I think that they're going to win, even though they are poised, Republicans, to steal it anyway. Either way.
No, they're not. They make you
law or
believe
Supreme
that.
Court.
No, they're not. They make you believe that. No, they're not, Juan. For real? No, they're not. For real? No, they're not. That's what they want you to believe. Hey, Juan. So this is my take on it.
Okay.
No.
Exactly.
Joe Biden would not be running because I looked at the correspondence dinner.
Yes.
And you know
how was that?
Oh, it was great. Trevor Noah. Oh, he was off the chain. You need to see it.
Okay.
And even Joe was good, man. Joe was good.
Okay.
I didn't see the whole thing with Joe, but I saw the whole thing with Trevor Noah. He was excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent. You need to check that out.
All right. I have to on demand.
But Juan, I looked at Joe.
Mm-hmm.
He can't take another 4 years, bro.
You don't think so?
Oh, he's 80 something, Juan. And you saw what happened with Bill Clinton.
He's 80 now. I think he's 80.
Yeah, you saw what happened to Bill Clinton. You saw what happened to Barack Obama. Their hair turned white. Joe Biden is 80. He can't take another.
It happens to the best of us.
He's moving slow. He walking like Fred Sanford. So slow.
That's all right too.
Yeah, but that's cool. But he ain't gonna make it another 4 years. You can stop that. Mm-hmm. So that's why I think the only reason that I don't know who it's going to be, and it's probably not going to be Kamala Harris because I don't think she's fully ready yet. I think she needs a little bit more tenure. But I love Deval Patrick, man, out of Boston, out of Massachusetts, was the governor, brother.
Right. Oh, I know Deval.
I don't know if you know, he ran. Yeah. He ran in 2020, but he waited too late.
Yeah,
he waited too late.
Waited too late. He had a little the national appeal, but
not enough.
But I think Biden's running again.
You think so? Have you seen this dude? His hair is thin. I can read his mind. His hair is so thin. I can look through his hair. I can read.
That's been for 30 years. I think Biden's running again.
Juan, remember he had health issues.
I'm not going to get him on ageism, huh?
Oh, what? Juan, 80 is 80. Stop that damn foolishness. People talking about, 60 is the new 50. No, it isn't. 60.
Let me tell you something. His 80 is doing a lot better than many of my
that ain't saying much. Captain Obvious, that ain't saying much. You saying Joe Biden's 80 is better than some of your friends? You think that's a positive statement?
Much better. But
I'm betting you right now $1. Joe Biden will not be running. He can't handle it, Juan. You don't forget he had other issues with the mug fell out. You forget about that. Joe is running on thin line. Man, Joe ain't running. I bet you $1.
Okay. All right.
Bet you $1 he won't be running.
Make it $2. Okay.
You got it. $2. I can tell you now, just my behind, how I'm feeling. I'm just getting ready to be 65. They think it's 80. This is the president of the United States, Juan.
He might be in better shape than you, though, Bob.
No, that's an insult. I doubt. No, I don't give a damn how bad I am. Stop that goddamn foolishness. That is
got you $2. I'm gonna take you $2.
That man, look, just make sure you have about $2 come 2024. Biden will not be running. All right, Juan, that's us. That's us. You have any closing remarks? But another great show, right on the 1 hour.
Okay, Bob, I think your positivity is great, and we have to be positive. I'm going to take your $2, and hey, you all, we love bringing information to you, and we're repositories of get information. So send us, tell us. Bob, I'm hearing from relatives, friends. Hey, that everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's talking to us. So look forward to next time.
The first Sunday of every month. At 6 p.m. the OPO, On Point Opinions.
Yes.
Two brothers just trying to drop some knowledge, you all, and help our people, because we know that knowledge is power. And we just trying to empower our people so that y'all get out to vote. Come on.
That's right.
Get out to vote, man. That's the only way we can beat it.
That's the only way it can beat it.
And plus, you all, get up on the issues.
Right.
Get up on the issue. So when somebody come to you and they may not know, that's why me and Juan is giving this information. It's not just for you, it's for you and for you to share with your family and your friends, your kids' kids, because it's also about not just voting, it's about being knowledgeable and sharing this information so that we can be more empowered, so we know what we're going out there and we're not like most people try to fault Democrats. We just voting, by default. But it's true, if that's the best of two evils, I mean, come on, that's a no-brainer. Ain't nobody voting for the damn Republicans no more.
People die for your right to vote. That's why they gerrymander, do everything. Why do you think that they're doing these things if it wasn't important that you vote? Why do they think they're trying to limit your opportunities to vote? So you got to vote. Don't let anybody tell you that voting doesn't mean anything. Don't let you do that. And you do a disservice and a dishonor to those who came before you, who died, who never got to benefit from what they did, or what they fought for. Realize that. So don't think, and if you don't vote, don't let the words come out of your mouth. Well, why we have to have this? Why you should have voted, because you can have and say that's your only say. Otherwise, because one way or the other, you get arrested, you get a pocket ticket. If you don't want something to happen, you better get out there and vote. You better be civic minded.
So,
my little sound off.
And this is my sound off.
Okay.
So, if you find yourself in a rut, find yourself deep down in the ditch, all me and Juan is advising you to do, don't get a shovel, get a ladder. With that, you all, thank you all. It's so great being with y'all. This is On Point Opinions. Remember, the first Sunday of every month, 6 p.m. Hello, thank you, my daughter, Tanisha Ellison, for checking us out. We love you.
Thank you.
Check y'all out, man. Thank you, Juan. Great show as always, my brother. I love you, man.